So today we are discussing the Bhagavad-gita and one of the most well-known sections from the Gita, or one of the more quoted sections, the section of Sthita Prajna from 254 to 272. So before I start, I'd like to ask you one question. So I'll use this whiteboard as something for writing and drawing. So are those of you behind, are you able to see this? If not, maybe some of you can come ahead. Actually, I won't need this. So you can remove it. If you want, you can come closer. And some of those who are sitting on that side, if you can't see, you can come ahead. I can keep this here. This whole table can be removed. So this can go underneath. Please come ahead, everyone, so that those who can't see and don't want to see, that's fine. But those who want to see but can't see, please you can come ahead, so that it will be difficult for you to understand what I'm saying if you're not able to see. I think, will bringing this forward make a difference or not much difference?
Not much difference. This is clear.
Okay, is the font size clear, or I should write bigger? Okay, I'll write in the bigger thing. Okay, fine. So, when we study the Gita, if the question comes up, okay,
Google Meet.
You will do one thing. You could bring this closer to me and move this closer, so that in that people will be able to see the.
Is this okay?
Yeah. So can you position in such a way they can see this also? Maybe you want to keep it. That's okay. Yeah. I don't think they can see this. That's okay. So. What is the, if someone asks, if you,
Sorry?
The computer is there, no? It is interfering. The radio frequency interfering.
okay, try it now. Okay. Hare Krishna. Is this better? Okay. So, if someone asked you, why do you study the Bhagavad-gita? What do you seek to get out of the study of the Bhagavad-gita? What is the value in studying the Gita? How would you answer the question?
How we can live better in this world.
Okay. How to live better. That's a good point. The Gita is a guidebook for living. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, please.
To understand the correct way of living, like to understand the rules and regulations and all instructions given by Krishna to us.
Yes. We could say to get, what is this movie for you? To learn Krishna's guidelines for living, by which we know what is beneficial, what is not beneficial. Okay. Anything else? Yes, please.
To know how are we,
How are we?
who are we, how should we live, and what should
Okay.
we do, who are we.
So to know our identity. Yes, that's a good point.
To understand ourselves and our relationship with the universe and the cosmos better.
Okay. So to understand our, you could say, place and purpose within life, within the world, within the universe. Our place and purpose. Good. Good. That's good. Anything else?
get solution to our problems.
To understand?
Solution to our problems.
Yeah, so we have problems. So to find solution to problems. Yes, thank you.
It would detach from material world and get attached to spiritual life.
Okay. To be detached and attached. Well, is that the reason why people study the Gita? That is the result, isn't it? If you start a Gita course, first time person coming in. So, if you study this Gita, you'll become detached from the world. So, hey, I don't want to be detached. So, we will talk. There is value in detachment, but most people don't explore something to become detached. There are a few people who are very spiritually minded who will be like that. But we could say this is, in one sense, one of the results of the study of the Gita. But people may be driven for various reasons. Yeah. Yes, please.
Differentiate between good and bad.
Okay, so to learn Krishna's guidelines, we can put good and bad, differentiate. Okay, good point. Yes, please.
To understand our relationship with Krishna.
Yes, to understand our relationship with Krishna. So if there is some being overseeing the world, like if we are working in a company, then okay, what is my role in relationship with the person owning the company? It's important to understand this so that we can function properly. So if there is a overarching divine being, then how should I function in this world? It's better to understand our relationship and the role thereby we have. Yes, thank you. Anything else?
Searching God.
Searching for God. Yes, I have to say. So now this, again, there are few people who may be doing that. There are a few people who are actually seeking for the ultimate reality, for the Paramartha. Okay. Thank you. This is all overall very good answers. So we will try to look at some of these. Broadly speaking, what the Bhagavad-gita does is that Arjuna is confused at the start of the Gita. So basically, at one level, if we consider Arjuna at the start and Arjuna at the end. So Arjuna is we all have a mind and an intelligence. So at the level of the mind, he is discouraged. At the level of intelligence, he is confused. Now for all of us, even one of these problems can be disorienting. If you're confused means that, I don't know what to do. Discouraged means I don't feel like doing anything. So having both of these as problems. Say if we appear for an exam and we're not able to pass that exam. If we apply for an interview and it doesn't work, we don't get through it. So we'll be discouraged, this didn't work out. But suppose we apply for an interview, it doesn't work, and then we start thinking, maybe I should not be in this career only. I should change my career completely. Then that is a much bigger problem in one sense, isn't it? Okay, I didn't get this interview, that is discouraged. But should I even have given this interview? Should I have been in this career itself? So that is confused. So if both are there, it's a big problem. So Arjuna at the start of the Gita is both. And by the end of the Gita, he is convinced, is clear-headed, convinced, and he is confident. He is encouraged. So encouraged that he is confident. Nashto moha smritir labdha tat prasadan maya achyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. So basically, externally nothing changes for Arjuna, but internally everything changes. So how does that happen? Now that journey can be understood in many different ways, but we will focus on one particular way of looking at it. That as we become guided by the Gita, so we could say Gita's vision. When we get Gita's wisdom, by that we get a particular vision. So initially for us, the world is very big and God is quite small. But once we understand the Gita, the world becomes big. Does the world become big? No. The world becomes small. And God, Krishna, becomes big. And that changes the way we function in the world. And it is not just this. So this is definitely a difference. That many people may believe in God. About 30 years ago, when I started studying the Bhagavad-gita and practicing Bhakti, I started sharing it with my relatives. So one of my uncles said, "Yeah, I believe in God. He is happy there, I am happy here." So many times God does not feel relevant. Even if God exists, how does he matter? So God is small, somewhere in the background. But when we study the Gita, we understand that actually God is a far bigger reality. And it is not just who is the bigger reality and who is the smaller reality. It is also which is the more desirable reality. In the initial stage, even if people turn to God, God is a means to the world. That means, oh, I want to achieve something in this world. Oh, I'm not getting this job. This disease is not getting cured. I want to get married, but I'm not finding a partner. So I may go to God and pray. I was in Varanasi, and there was a Hanuman temple. We passed by while going for a program, and there I saw a prayer. It's quite an amazing prayer. It says, "Tum to ho bala brahmachari, mujhe de do ek nari." So the idea is that God, even if we go to God, the ends that we seek is the world. I want better health, I want happier life, I want greater power, greater fame. So God is a means to the world, which is our goal. But when we grow spiritually, then the world becomes a means to God for us. So for Arjuna, what happened was, he fought the war, but he was not fighting the war to win a kingdom. Karishye vachinam tava. He was fighting the war to serve the Lord, to attain the Lord ultimately. So essentially, spiritual growth means that the spiritual reality, which is ultimately centered on God, becomes the bigger reality for us. And the world becomes a smaller reality. Now, this is in one sense similar to what you mentioned about, one of you mentioned about being detached from the world and attached to the Lord. Now, why should we do this? So, basically speaking, that in the verse that we recited, that param drushtva nivartati. When we get the bigger vision, drushtva is vision. Param is higher. So when we get the higher vision, then we become peaceful. So now, why should we want to make the world smaller and God bigger? What difference does it make? The problem is, there are twofold reasons for it. One is that the world itself is a place of duality. There are ups and downs. Kabhi khushi, kabhi gum. So now this is just the nature of the world, that there is duality. But not only there is duality, things keep going up and down. But for many of us, the dualities affect us much more. So when something good happens, we go up. Sometimes bad happens, we go way down. Then again way up, again way down. So when we go way too up and down, people have mood swings. And when somebody is too much tossed up and down, then they become unreliable. You cannot count on them. If somebody want to get something good happens, they become so excited, so happy, that they forget the responsibility. They forget what they're supposed to do. That's not healthy, isn't it? See, life is tough. In life, there are many different challenges that come up, and we need to be level-headed to deal with the challenges. So, even from the perspective of functioning within this world, if somebody is tossed too much up and down by dualities, they can't function. And of course, if they become dejected, then they just feel like, I don't want to do anything at all. One day, so this kind of, at an extreme level, such people become manic depressive. Manic depressive is kind of a depression where at one time people have so much energy, I will shake the whole world. That's one day. The next day they need the whole world to shake them out of their bed. They just won't do anything at all. So this is something that makes functioning in life difficult for that person and for the people around them. Now, of course, some people go the other way. They may go up, and when something bad happens, they go down, and they just keep going down only. So these are not manic depressive; they are chronic depressive, constantly depressed. So life's dualities take a toll on us. They take a toll emotionally, and eventually they take a toll physically also. Mental health problems are becoming huge, and while there can be many different causes and names for mental health problems, at a basic level, all mental health problems arise from the inability to handle duality. Bad things will happen to everyone, and some bad things have happened to us, and we may worry about them, and some things may happen in the future. So, even from the perspective of functioning in this world, if the world is too big in our eyes, then we become dysfunctional, or at least we find it difficult to function. It's not dysfunctional. So from one perspective, we want to function better in this world, and we can't function better if we are unable to handle what? Duality, the ups and downs. By the way, what I am writing, is it visible for you behind? Okay. Now somebody may say, okay, if the world becomes small, then maybe I'll be more stable. But where will I get any happiness? We want happiness. So the thing is, if we are seeking happiness from the world is filled with ups and downs. And whatever goes up, it's like a wave, will come down. So the very things that give us happiness one day will eventually, in some way or the other, cause some distress. So if our happiness is dependent on the world, then we'll be very vulnerable. So when God becomes bigger, what happens is, God is not just bigger in size, which is there. We understand that Krishna is actually the source of happiness. So basically, through spiritual growth means we turn towards Krishna. Krishna becomes bigger for us. These are two results: peacefulness with respect to the world, and happiness with regard to the Lord, with regard to Krishna. So through him we get happiness. So these two are the reasons why detachment from the world and attachment to the Lord. So it's very important that detachment is not irresponsibility. Be detached, that does not mean to be irresponsible. So suppose our child has an exam coming up, and the child is not studying at all. Say, why are you not studying? Your exam is coming. I'm following the Bhagavad-gita, I'm detached. So, now, detachment is after the responsibility has been done. After the work has been done. After we do what is expected to do, then okay, it's not in my control, let me be detached. But irresponsible is to not do the work itself. That's why karmanye vadhikaraste Ma phaleshu kadachana. So detached is from the results. But irresponsible is where we give up the work itself. That is not the teaching of the Bhagavad-gita. If that were the definition of what the Gita was teaching, then why does Arjuna become ready to fight a war at the end of the Gita? So now, with this understanding broadly, that spiritual vision is where Krishna becomes bigger and the world becomes smaller. And by the result of this is, with respect to externals, we'll become more peaceful. And Krishna is inside us. Internally, we'll become more joyful. So, peaceful, joyful. These are the two results that we can get. Externally peaceful, internally joyful. Is this something good to have? If you could have it, it would make our life so much better. So now the section that we are discussing is talking about this. So when we say the world is bigger for someone, it's not so much in geographical size. It's more in psychological size. So the size of something, it depends on our attachments. The attachments, or rather the size, is proportional to attachments. When I started traveling to America for the last 10 years, I have been speaking on the Gita all over the world. So I often give contemporary examples. So I give examples about cricket, for example. So when I went to America, several of my organizers of programs, especially for American audiences, they said, don't give any cricket example. I said, okay, why is that? Is it that Americans love baseball, they don't like cricket? I said, yeah, but more important thing is, for Americans, cricket is an insect. When they hear the word cricket, they don't think of the game. They think of the insect cricket. So, that which is so big in India, that is almost unknown in America. Now, because the Indian diaspora is becoming large, so some amount of cricket is becoming a little more well known over there. But the thing is, how important is cricket? That depends on how much we are attached to it. So, for each person, based on their particular attachments, that object becomes bigger. So, for an alcoholic, say, the alcohol bottle is the biggest thing in the world. When they see an alcohol, sarva dharman parityajya. They just forget everything else. They will be in office, in a serious meeting, talking with their boss. Suddenly the desire for alcohol comes up. Then the body of their boss changes into a shape of alcohol. So our attachments, they distort our perception. And they make things bigger than what they actually are. And we all face temptations of some kind or the other. And these, whatever tempts us, that basically starts becoming bigger and bigger in our consciousness. So basically, in 260, 263, Krishna will talk about how temptations come in. But the principle there is, whatever gets our attention. Whatever gets our attention gets us. So the thing that captures our attention, eventually it will capture us. In fact, many sociologists are calling the present economic situation as an attention economy. The advertisers are competing to get people's attention. Once they get the attention, then people will eventually have the desire, the interest, and then they will buy things. So basically, in our consciousness, some things are big, some things are small. So for us, if we are to grow spiritually, there are two things we need to do. The things which are already big in our consciousness, or the things which are attached to, we need to minimize our exposure to them. We need to create some boundaries, so that if we are constantly perceiving the world, then the world will naturally become bigger in our mind. So now we cannot cut ourselves off from the world, and that's not the teaching of the Bhagavad-gita. It is not saying that the world is all illusion and only Krishna is the reality. No, Krishna is the biggest reality. The world is also reality, and for many of us, the world is the means to Krishna. Say for example, with respect to the body. Now the Gita teaches that our identity is not limited to our body. So we are not our body, but we live through our body. We function through our body, and our body is not the complete identity, but it is a vital part of our functional identity. So the body is the means to the soul, to realize the soul, to liberate the soul. So the idea is that the material is important, but the spiritual is more important. The world has its value, but Krishna has the supreme value. The world is artha, Krishna is paramartha. Is the supreme value. So in the world, whatever things are there which tend to consume our consciousness and become bigger and bigger, we need to keep some distance from them. Like if in our phone screen, something comes as a small notification. Your friend has updated the Facebook photo. Okay, what photo have they put? It's just a small notification has come up, but then we click on it, then it becomes big. It occupies the full screen. And then we look at that photo. Oh, when did we click this photo? Then we scroll down the page and look at this. And then look at that and we look at that. And what we thought, okay, I'll spend 1 minute, it may take 1 hour. Isn't it? So, quite often, we will be reading something of value, we will be studying something, we may be reading the Bhagavad-gita. So those who can't face books, seek shelter in Facebook. Not shelter or escape in Facebook, whatever it is. It is not a very good shelter. But the idea is something which is small if we give unregulated attention to it. If we are not monitoring the attention we are giving it to it, it will become bigger and bigger and bigger. So basically, for us, if we are to grow spiritually, if we are come to this level of param drishtva, that's what I was talking about. So there are two things required for it. First is at least some level of disconnection from the world. So that was mentioned in the previous verse. Yada samharate chayam kurmo anganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya pragya pratisthita. So, say, if I am here and the world is here, then I need to create some boundary between me and the world, by which my exposure to the world is minimized. So the example is given just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs into its body. Similarly, we need to withdraw our limbs. So each one of us, we need to create some safe space for ourselves. A safe space where the world will not be invading and pervading our consciousness. The world doesn't just exist passively over there. The world rushes in, it invades. And there are some invaders who come in, they plunder and they go back. But the temptations, they don't just invade, it pervades. It starts ruling over here. And that's how the world tends to become bigger. So we need some boundaries. And each individual needs to find out what are the boundaries that I need. So nowadays social media is so big, technology is so big. So people get hooked by technology. And maybe we need boundaries over that. Now every age, every time had something. In the past, maybe people would sit and gossip more. And they would gossip about their neighborhood. Now people gossip about the whole world. The principle of gossiping is still going on. So, the idea is that whatever it is that connects us, whatever it is that will invade our consciousness and then pervade our consciousness, we need to minimize our exposure to it. So that way, at least the world is not going to become bigger and bigger for us. So everyone will have to take his individual responsibility for that. For somebody it may be movies, for somebody it may be sports, for somebody it may be politics, for somebody it may be food, for somebody it may be sex, for somebody it may be money. Now, some of these things are necessary in life. But even what is necessary can be done excessively. And money is important, no doubt in life. But money should be what we live with, not what we live for. Money is like fuel in a car. If there's no fuel in the car, we can't move. But say our neighbor rushes out of their home and is racing as fast as they can. Now if you watch out of the see in the window, you're concerned. What happened? Anybody had a heart attack or what happened? Can I help you? So what happened? Where are you going? I'm going to put fuel in my car. Okay. After that, where will you go? I'll go to the next gas station and put fuel in my car. Okay. And after that, I'll go to the next gas station and put fuel in my car. But where are you going? I'm going to put fuel in my car. No, fuel is what we drive with. Fuel is not what we drive for. Sometimes in emergency, we need drive for fuel. But the purpose of driving a car is not fueling the car. Isn't it? There has to be some other purpose. So like that, money is important in life. But money is what we live with. It is a tool for living. It is a necessary tool for living. But it can become what we live for. And then it can become a distortion. So money is known as artha. Now, artha means it has value. It has meaning. So money is artha, but obsession with money. Obsession with money becomes a anartha. It is the anartha of lobha, of greed. So when money becomes what we live for, that becomes a problem. Now internet, in the way we world live in today, internet is necessary for most of us to function. That's what we live with. But if internet is what we live for, it's like then we become more concerned about what is happening in Cuba than what is happening in our child's life. We are more concerned about what is happening in Syria than what is happening in our spouse's life. That is a complete distortion. One friend showed me a cartoon that this man is talking with his friend. Yesterday my broadband Wi-Fi went down. So I spent some time with my family. They seem like nice people. It's like you don't even know them. So what is necessary, when it is excessive, it can become counterproductive. So basically, we need things in this world, but we don't want them to become too big. That's where we need to create boundaries. Now, the safe space. How do we create a safe space? There are two things I'll talk about. Safe space can be in terms of categorical and chronological. Categorical means that some things as a category, I'm not going to have them at all in my life. Say for example, we may decide we don't eat meat, we don't drink. Now there are certain things we decide, I don't want this in my life at all. So there are many temptations of this world which categorically we say no. So in the West, drinking is very much a part of people's life. In fact, there was one Europe, when British thinker, he said, the taste of wine is the proof that God loves us. If God didn't exist, how could something as delicious as wine exist? Well, there are so many other ways we could consider the existence of God, but this is what is the case. So, okay, in the West also, when people drink routinely, they have some sense, drink but don't get drunk. It's like saying, go to the edge of a lift, bend down and see as much as you can, but don't fall down. Well, one gust of wind one push, you will topple over. So it's dangerous. So for some things, categorically, nothing doing. We say no to those things. Now for some things, when we are trying to create a safe space, we cannot say no to those things. But what we can do is, chronological means like a full no to some things. Chronological is no till this time. Chronology is sequence of time. So for example, somebody may decide that, okay, in the my morning time is for my spirituality. So till I have completed my prayers, completed my chanting, I'm not going to look at my phone. Or I may decide, okay, if I'm going to look at my phone, maybe for something urgent, maybe I look only at my WhatsApp if there's an urgent message. I'm not going to social media and check it. So each of us may need to create some chronological safe space for us. So if we go to work, there we can always chit chat with friends. Now when we go by the water cooler, we go for a sip, and when you go for a sip, we gossip. So okay, I'm going to complete this much work, then I'll do that. So each of us needs to find ways to create a safe space. So safe space is not just categorical or chronological, it can also be geographical. Geographical means, let's say in our community if we have a temple, and the world is filled with so many temptations and distractions, but I go to the temple, that is the place where the temptations of the world are cut off from them. And okay, the temptations are there, but at least not that much, not that flagrantly. And so in our own home also, we can have an area which will be like our altar. When we come in front of that, okay, we are reminded of bigger realities. The world's temptations, they don't affect us that much. So every one of us needs to find out, how can I create a safe space for myself? And by that safe space, the world will become lesser and lesser for us. This is the first part. With the next part, I'll conclude the class. So this is yada samharate chayam. That, okay, withdraw your senses from the sense objects. Or what this is, vishaya vinivartante. Now having a safe space is important, but actually the trying to live for safety is the most dangerous way to live. Because we don't just want safety in life. We want to be safe, but can somebody say the highest purpose of my life is to be safe? No. If we have been constantly in danger, say if I was just in UK, I met several devotees who were living in Ukraine and they had to flee from there, they had to relocate. So if I'm in danger, then safe space is the most important thing. But after a safe space is there, I need something else. As it is said, ships are safest in the dockyard. But ships are not meant to be in the dockyard. They are meant to sail in the sea. So for us, safety alone is not enough. So basically, when I'm talking about safe space, what it does is, it decreases the effect of duality. So we want to become steady, the world becomes smaller. When we disconnect from the world. Now many of us on Ekadashi, if we start practicing Bhakti, we start fasting. So I've got a group of friends, so we are trying an experiment on Ekadashi. We fast from technology also. It's difficult. It's actually far more difficult than fasting from food. But okay, maybe half the day. So whatever it is that distracts us, whatever tends to make the world bigger, we realize, okay, 6 hours I was away from technology, I didn't see my Facebook, and nothing really went wrong. It is not that the world came crashing down. And if the world had come crashing down, it would have come even if I had been on Facebook also. We can't really change that. So for us, we all can decide what kind of safe space we want. But that is not enough. The param drishtva, to see Krishna as bigger, see God as bigger. For that, what is bigger right now, we do need to make it smaller. But we will not be satisfied just by making it smaller. After we have got safe space, then the second thing we need is a strong base. What am I trying to do? So, as I said, We cut off from our technology, but then, okay, I want to read this book. I want to chant attentively. If I'm meeting this person, I want to focus on understanding, talking with this person. If I'm hearing a spiritual class, I want to focus on the class. So we need to generate this strong pace in our life. Without that strong pace, we won't be able to work. So this param drishta, I'll conclude with this point, that if we understand Krishna is the bigger reality, we open ourselves at least to the possibility that, okay, maybe if Krishna is the bigger reality, he could also be the source of a bigger happiness. The world gives me some happiness, but if everything in the world has come from Krishna, then even the capacity of worldly things to give me happiness has also come from Krishna, isn't it? So maybe Krishna is a source of far bigger happiness. So at least open ourselves to this possibility. Most of us have had some experience of the world. We have enjoyed some of the things of the world. And we all have sooner or later come to the realization that the promises of the world, they don't live up to the things of the world, don't live up to the promise. Maybe I thought, okay, I'll get a big house and I'll be happy, I'll get this big job and I'll be happy, I'll have this relationship and I'll be happy. Maybe those things did make us happy, but they don't make us as happy as we thought they would make us. So often worldly pleasure, worldly achievement is an anticlimax. Like the climax comes, oh, I got this. What after that? It's not that fulfilling as we imagined it. So maybe there is some source of higher happiness. So how do we connect with that? So basically this param drishtva, to make Krishna the bigger reality. There are 3 stages in that. First is, we need a higher vision. That higher vision comes from education. We get that, okay, maybe it's possible that Krishna is the bigger reality. So when we come and hear classes, we get the higher education. This is, now after from that higher education, we get a higher purpose for our life. So previously the world was my end, but now God becomes my end. God is what I perceive. So that higher purpose. We may do the same things, but we do them for a higher purpose. Somebody may be a teacher. Now, say imagine there's a class and there are 4 teachers. There's a school, there are 4 classes and 4 teachers. You ask the first teacher, what are you doing? I'm teaching these dumb students this dumb subject. Okay. You go to the next teacher and ask, what are you doing? Yes, I'm earning my living through teaching. The third teacher you ask, what are you doing? That I am shaping the minds of those who will be shaping the future of the world. Now all 3 are doing the same thing, but their vision is very different. And because the vision is different, their inspiration will also be very different. Their motivation level will also be different. So the activity is the same, but the purpose becomes different. So these 3 examples that I gave, that is basically tamas, rajas and sattva. In tama, whatever we are doing, we only see the problems in it. In rajas, we only see the immediate gain. In sattva, we see the bigger picture. Now, if we go beyond sattva to Shuddha sattva, then if a teacher is a devotee, what does the teacher say? Teacher's vision would be, I am using the gifts that God has given me to help others find their gifts and use them in the service of God. That is a much nobler vision. Not just I am trying to do some good, but actually God is there. God is helping me to do some good in this world. So from a higher vision comes a higher purpose. And when this higher purpose is what leads to dedication. Dedication means dedication to our sadhana, dedication to our seva. So when we have, yes, Krishna could be the higher reality, let me experience that. So when we sit down to do our chanting, put aside the whole world. At least for a few moments during our praying, during our meditating, during our chanting, we should get that experience that there is a bigger reality. Krishna is that bigger reality. Krishna is with me. And by focusing on my sadhana, I can be with Krishna. And then after that, when we go out into the world, we'll find that the world's dualities won't affect us so much. Some problem comes up, we won't be so shaken. Some temptation comes up, we won't get distracted immediately. So that higher purpose. And from that higher purpose will come finally the higher taste. Param Drishtva, Srila Prabhupada translates as a higher taste. So here at this stage, higher vision means that God is the bigger reality. We accept it as a theory. It makes sense. But here, when we get the higher taste, God is a higher, it is not just a theory, it is a lived experience for us. It is a reality for us. In between the higher purpose, that is the experiment. So in one sense, this is like a spiritual science. The postulate is, there is a higher reality, and that higher reality is a source of higher happiness. So for that, what do I have to do? I have to make that higher reality, make that bigger reality a bigger reality in my consciousness. Let me give focus, attention to it. So through our sadhana, what are we trying to do is exclusive time with Krishna. Through our whatever work we do, our family response, professional response, their seva, we make it into ultimately meant for Krishna's pleasure. So by this, we can get that higher taste. So that param drishtva nivartate. When we get this taste, then the temptations of this world will not affect us that much. Because we will be experiencing joy through our connection with Krishna. And then we can actually be much more effective in this world also. In our relationships, in our professional roles. When we are not so dependent on external validation, then we can be more enriched internally. So, this safe space to get a strong pace. That is the 2-point summary of how for Arjuna this transformation happened. From being discouraged and confused to becoming encouraged and convinced. So I'll summarize what I discussed. We are talking today about the message of the Gita for our life. So I talked about primarily 3 broad parts. The first part I discussed is what is the Gita's purpose? It is to, in one sense, for us, the world is a bigger reality and Krishna is a smaller reality. From there, we want to make the world a smaller reality, Krishna the bigger reality. So when this happens, 2 things will happen. That we will become peaceful with respect to the world. There will be steadiness amid duality, and then we'll be joyful in our relationship with Krishna. This is the purpose of the Gita. Now how do we go about doing this? The first stage is, how do we make the world smaller? For that purpose, we need to boundaries. We need to create some disconnection from the world, because whatever gets our attention gets us. Whatever our mind dwells on, that will become bigger for us. So it's like in our mind, a pop-up notification comes up, some thought comes up, we dwell on it, it becomes bigger. So we talked about boundaries in 3 different senses. One is categorical. Just say no to an entire category of things. I got nothing to do with this. And then second is chronological. So till this time, I'm going to complete this, and then after that I'm going to do that. So, and last is geographical, where we need to create a physical safe space. But broadly, the idea is we create a safe space where the world does not invade and pervade our consciousness. And that way the world will become smaller gradually for us. And then what do we want to do? We want to make Krishna bigger. And for making Krishna bigger, what do? We need basically, as I said, we need just safe space is not enough. Strong pace has to be there. We need to do something in our safe space. So that is our sadhana is where there is exclusive focus on Krishna. That I turn away from the world so that I consciously take Krishna through my praying, through my chanting. It's not a ritual. It's a ritual in the sense that we do it daily. But while we are doing it, we need to be consciously striving to make Krishna the bigger reality for us. When we are praying, I turn away from the world, just immerse myself in Krishna. And then after that, there is seva. Seva means we see that for me, the world where I act, that is a means. So my gifts are meant to be used for Krishna's service in this world. When we have, so this is more like inclusive. Inclusive means that I understand that I can serve Krishna through this world also. The world is not completely separate from Krishna. The world is included in the domain of my relationship with Krishna. So I take care of my children and my family, not just because they are my family, but they are all Krishna's parts. Let me take care of them. I function in my job, not just because it is giving me money, but because this is the place where the gifts Krishna has given me, I can use them to do something of value. Arjuna did not just reject his archery skills as Maya. He used the archery skills to help Krishna's mission for establishing dharma in the world. In this way, all of us can be enriched and empowered by the wisdom of the Bhagavad-gita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So are there any questions or comments?
When I think of questions, I will do what I should have done earlier. I will introduce you a little bit.
Okay, see, nobody after a movie likes to read the credits,
But still, thank you. Okay, किसी का प्रश्न है, सवाल? हरे कृष्णा. तो जब तक आप while you think about question, right? मैंने पहले ही प्रभु जी का इंट्रोडक्शन पढ़ना चाहिए था, जो अभी मैं पढ़ने जा रहा हूँ. So प्रभु जी is a spiritual teacher for nearly 25 years in Bhakti Yoga tradition. Hare Krishna. Through modern day expression, ISKCON, he is the author of 27 books that explains the relevance of Vedic wisdom texts, including Bhagavad-gita and Ramayana. He's the author of world's only daily blog on Bhagavad-gita, जहाँ पे प्रभु जी ने 4000 आर्टिकल्स लिखे हैं भगवद-गीता पे. He is invited speaker at TEDx, World Peace Conference UNESCO, Intel, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, universities may be Stanford, Princeton, Yale, Harvard, MIT and Cambridge. Every year he gives 400 talks, 400 बार वो अपने lectures देते हैं across 100 cities in 4 continents every year. So we are very blessed, Prabhuji, that you are here today. And before I thank him, are there any questions? Yes. This is not working, so you can go ahead and ask questions.
Yes, please.
Like, this is a journey, whatever we come through. And how do we measure our progress? How do we know that, yeah, indeed we are progressing, and the hurdles that come on the way, how do we overcome that?
Okay. How do we measure our progress on the spiritual journey? Generally, with respect to duality, we can look at our own response. So maybe 1 year before, say I am facing some problem right now. If 1 year ago I had faced this problem, what would my response have been? Maybe now I am a little worried about it, but maybe 1 year ago I would have been in panic completely. So it is the effect of the duality on me is decreasing. So the world will always be having duality, but maybe in the past as it was, I was going way up and down. But as things go, maybe I become much steadier. So that is one indication. Our response to life's ups and downs becomes less extreme. Now, of course, some people by nature may be more emotional, more excitable, and some people may be more expressive. So it's not that everybody has to become stoic and unemotional. That's not the point. But there's an internal steadiness. Yeah, something could happen. Some people are there, they're just very expressively happy, and they're expressively dejected when they're unhappy. That's okay. We all have our particular way of functioning. But internally, we're not so disoriented. So that's one parameter, our response to duality. So now the other is that is our attraction to Krishna increasing? So generally speaking, love, the presence of love is seen in two ways. Whenever there is love, what we give to the object of love. Say, if we love someone, we want to give what we can. In fact, we want to give the best of what we can. So what we give and what we give up. So if say parents care for their child, then say the child has some school function where the child is functioning in a drama, and the father says, I am busy in my office, I can't come. The father will say, I love you. But your actions don't show that, isn't it? So maybe sometimes the meeting cannot be abandoned, but sometimes it needs to be. Let's do something. What we are ready to give up. So what we give, parents may give the best facility for their children, may put them in the best schools. So what we give, what we give up. So now sometimes it is a conscious effort, but it is when there is love, we don't even think about it. Yeah, of course. So we can see in our relationship with Krishna, what are we ready to give to Krishna? And what are we ready to give up for Krishna? Say maybe we were very attached to cricket. And say if a cricket match happens on the same day when there is a festival. So do I give the festival to watch the cricket match, or do I give the cricket match to go to the festival? So what I give up? And okay, you can give up reluctantly, you can give up effortlessly, it depends. But broadly speaking, love is seen by this. What am I ready to give? Okay, we may give. When I have been traveling across the world, I have been reconnecting with my school friends, college friends. So as a Krishna consciousness, ISKCON has become a fairly positive brand name now. So I met one friend in Australia, in Sydney. So he said, I regularly come to ISKCON. Really? How regularly? Every Janmashtami. Okay, that is also some level of regularity. But that's not really much. So what are we ready to give? So if somebody is serious about spiritual life, they would want to, not just once a year, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. So what we give and what we give up. And it's not just what, you could say how. How means what is our emotion? Do we do it, is it reluctant, somebody has to force us to do it, or is it eager, I want to do it? So broadly, these are the two parameters of spiritual growth. Now, with respect to obstacles, that can be understood in many different ways, but the obstacles, we can say there are internal and there are external. The internal obstacles are doubts and desires. So doubts arise at the level of buddhi and desires arise at the level of mana. So is Krishna really there? Is Krishna really the source of happiness? These are doubts. And that means, is Krishna really the bigger reality? There are doubts about that. And desires is, okay, Krishna is good, but Maya is also not so bad, So I want this and I want that, So doubts and desires. So these are the obstacles. Now we need to deal with them. So doubts we deal by philosophical education. We study and understand the scripture, and gradually we associate with people and we say, oh, these people are also intelligent, they're not just sentimental. If they are accepting it, maybe there's some substance to it. Then eventually doubts go away by realization, when we ourselves experience something higher. Desires go away gradually by purification. First we need some regulation. We talk about creating some safe space. Now externally there are distractions and obligations. So distractions means so many things. We may have no desire for them, but they just pop up and then we get attracted to them. Okay, eat this, watch this, go here, go there. So distractions are there. And then we may say obligations, how can they be an obstacle? Yeah, we have certain obligations that are required for us, but we often may increase our obligations. Say, I do this if I'm in work, I take up this also, and I take up that also, and I take up that also. So these can be obstacles for us. So we need to see which are the obstacles that are keeping me. Some people may be spiritually interested, but they are so socially engaged. I'm a part of this group, and I'm a part of that, and I do this, and I do that. Okay, all those may be of value, but this is Krishna is much more valuable. Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, please.
So question is with respect to the duality. So when you said that duality as a human, हमारे बहुत सारे विकार रहते हैं. So what is the ultimate aim? Like, should we be aspiring to become to stay in a समता में रहने का? हमें वो aspire करना चाहिए या maybe you can explain in a bit more what should be the ultimate aim?
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you. So the idea is, there was somewhere I was looking to make this point. Okay. I'll make it here. See, basically, we want to be peaceful so that we can be purposeful. Like I said, the safety is alone not enough. समता में रहना है, but समता से हमें एकाग्रता है. If I am studying in a library, then this person is saying this person happened over there, that happened, this person said that happened over there, then I can't study. So for us, we all have certain things which we need to do, which we have to do. So the steadier we are, we can be more focused on what really matters for us, what is truly important for us. The world will be presenting hundreds of things and each thing will seem as important. Propaganda basically means to make things that don't matter seem to matter supremely. That's propaganda, that's advertisement. So sometimes when we stay, then when we are equipoised, then we can focus on what is important for us. Say somebody insults me. Now I can get, how dare you speak like this to me? And then you think you're like that, and I'll show you what I can do. I'll insult you back. And then it will just become hugely escalated. But if that person is important for me, then rather than taking that insult personally, what happened? What's going on in your life? Hurt people. So this person is hurting me, but maybe they are hurt. So instead of simply reacting to how they are dealing with us, we try to understand, what happened? What's going on? Instead of asking, how can you speak like this to me? We say, can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me what has disturbed you so much? You did this. Okay, then they may just blurt out, and within that they may say, this is the issue. So basically, if the relationship is more important for us, then the immediate reaction won't be determined just by the other person's behavior. We will be able to see beyond. You're behaving like this with me, but there is something bigger going on over here. So, if I am here and someone else is here. So the nature of life is, we interact with others, they interact with us. Unfortunately, what happens is, if I am interacting with you, I disturb you and you disturb me. And together, we create a disturbed world. Now, it unfortunately happens at times. But suppose, say, I am here, you are here. So suppose this person is an attendant in a cloth shop. And this person is a customer. So now normally if a customer comes, the attendants will want to go and greet the customer and they want to make the sale so that they will go in their record and they will get the pay or whatever. But some customers are so difficult. They will look through 100 clothes and they will criticize everything and not buy anything. There are two kinds of people. Some people bring happiness wherever they go, and some people bring happiness whenever they go. So, suppose there's some difficult customer, difficult demanding customer, whenever that customer comes, all the attendants go away. But suppose one attendant comes forward and beautifully talks with that person and tries to please that customer, but still that customer is unhappy and goes away. And you could say, this person was so rude to me. This person was so disrespectful, so impolite. Why should I be polite? But suppose that attendant knows that there is a boss sitting. And the boss, there's a CCTV camera, the boss is watching everything. And the boss may see that the sale didn't happen. But suppose the boss already knows this customer is a difficult customer. And the boss may come and say, hey, you really kept your nerve over there. You know how to deal with difficult people. I'll make you in charge of this entire wing and you train the other attendants how to deal with difficult customers. So although in one sense in this interaction there was failure, but in this interaction there is success. So the idea is, so the duality is how customers behave. Some customers may be very friendly and polite and some customers may be very rude and demanding. But if the primary thing is that for me the bigger thing is to please my boss, then I can tolerate the duality. So similarly for us, people may behave in different ways with us. But if our focus is to connect with Krishna, to please Krishna, then we will not get so carried away by the way people deal with us. So that's how we want to be peaceful so that we can be purposeful, so that we can be more responsible, so that our actions can be more constructive, so that we can be a part of the solution rather than be a part of the problem. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Like between point A to point B, like we are at a point A where Krishna word is small. We have to be at point B to make it big. So between cover this journey, we have struggled between material world and spiritual world. So what is the best process or practices to cover this journey?
Okay. So in between this journey, when we are along the way, sometimes Krishna seems bigger, sometimes the world seems to be bigger. And sometimes both seem to be bigger, sometimes both become small. We go in various states of mind. And both are important, sometimes we just get so tired and depressed, nothing is important. You can go in all directions. So I think there are two things. It's like, this game called wall climbing, where it's like a flat wall and people try to rise up. So now when you're trying to rise up, you find a grip over here. You hold a grip and you pull yourself. But the next grip may not be exactly there only. You find a grip somewhere here. And the next grip might be there. So wherever there are grips, we hold that grip and pull ourselves up. So in one sense, the spiritual journey is like wall climbing. So in the universe, basically there are two forces. There is gravity. Now gravity can refer to physical gravity itself. But that also refers to the gravity. Our attachments are like gravity. They pull us down. Because of our attachments, the world tends to become bigger and bigger. So gravity is the downward force. And grace is mercy. That is the upward force. There are these two forces. Now whichever force we subject ourselves to, that will act on us. So if we don't hold on to grace, then gravity will pull us down. So for us there are these grips things which we can hold on to. There are grips along the way that we can hold on to. So each one of us needs to find out what are the grips that I can hold on to. So generally speaking, when I talk about those obstacles internally and externally, so the grace for us can come from internally and externally. So externally, it can come through our relationships. Relationships means, say, if we are in a relationship and we take that relationship seriously, then I may not feel like doing this, but this is my relationship, so I need to do it. So, when a newborn baby is there, initially when the baby is born, everybody is very happy and it's an occasional celebration. But after that, maybe the first 1.5 years, a 24/7 job. It's very demanding, and maybe in the mid of the night, baby starts crying. It is not at that time the mother suddenly feels a wave of love flooding for the baby. But then the mother wakes up and takes care of the baby, because that's a relationship. So basically, when you say we don't feel like doing something, but still we do it. So for us, with respect to this, relationships are our relationship with devotees. If we have a relationship, we take diksha. That means we take some vows that this is what I'm going to do. So my relationship with my guru, my relationship with senior devotees. So these relationships, the satsanga is very important. Then that can be like an external grip. I don't feel like doing it, but still I'll do it. Now relationships are important, but even in spirituality, responsibility is important. So one of the signs that we are growing spiritually is that in a community, we move from being a guest to becoming a host. That means I don't just come to this program and attend the program and go. I come to this program, okay, let me serve prasadam. Let me help in organizing the program. Let me do some seva. Somebody new comes, I make them feel at home. So we take some responsibility. And that will get us out of our mind's moods and our moodiness. Okay, I'm going to, if I come to this temple, if I go to the temple, I'm going to do this seva. So basically, externally, relationships and responsibilities can help us. Now, internally, for us, we need conviction. Conviction is for the buddhi. So we need to hear classes regularly. We need to read Shastra regularly. Then that way, see, for all of us, there are times when we don't feel like doing something, but we know it is important. So we may not feel like going for an office for a job. But then, this is important. So there our buddhi pushes us to do things. And then at the level of the mind, it is taste. We all need to find out. Even at our level, we may have taste for something. Maybe classes like this, you can say, okay, this is this has become a workout now. I'm exhausted. Okay, sometimes it happens. Some people may like this, it's very stimulating, I'm understanding things. Some people may find, okay, I have taste for kirtans. Maybe that means, I do it and I feel peaceful, I feel at home, I feel joyful by that. Basically, our mind feels relaxed and happy. For some of us, it may be, we take care of the deities at home, we do some puja. While doing that, we feel very good. So we have to find out within the domain of bhakti. Now, everything in bhakti we may not have taste for it. But that doesn't mean we don't have taste for anything. We do have taste for something. That means even within bhakti, there are some things which create a good feeling for us. So sometimes our emotions may not work with us, they may work against us, but sometimes they do work for us. So basically, these four are all like grips upward. So we have to find one of these grips and we push up, we hold that grip and pull ourselves up. And that's how we keep moving onwards. Thank you. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Prema.